Hello, I am Adit Middle, one of the 8 finalists for the Digital Presentation Skills Challenge. In today's meeting, I want to discuss a bunch of things, but they can pretty much be split up into the recap portion and the round 2 portion. Okay. So to start, I want to recap about what I talked about in my qualifying video that I actually submitted to get here. And then I'll move on to talk about my experience in the VBC Round 2 Retail Challenge that was run about 4 months ago. By the way, I'll of course be taking any and all questions at the end of the presentation. Anyways, let's just get right into it. So in the video, I discussed 3 things that led to my success in the VBC retail simulation for grocery. I discussed radio and billboard advertising and the importance of store layout. The video is pretty straightforward, and in today's meeting, I sort of hope to keep that simplicity while I discuss the VBC Round 2 simulation. So to start my discussion, I want to split this portion of VBC Round 2 into 3 main parts: the planning phase, the running phase, and the lessons phase. So regarding the planning that my team and I did, it just wasn't the best, to be honest. We assumed a lot of things with the simulation, many of which did not come true. So for example, we believed that we could choose the number of stores and the type of each store. Therefore, after some testing, we came up with a plan to only use grocery stores and to use as many as possible, as we were reaching over 1 million weekly profit just using the grocery stores. However, our plan could not be executed. That is because we failed to research how these rounds are actually hosted, which is that we could only use one store, the position of the store is fixed, and the type of store, which in our case was electronics, was also pre-decided. Running phase. As you may believe, after hearing this, we were shocked. However, we did not give up. We had worked so hard perfecting the grocery store, and we didn't want all of that hard work to sort of go to waste. Also, we had a lot of tips and tricks that we could apply from the grocery store to our electronics store. For example, our knowledge on which tools are the most important came in very handy. We knew that radio and billboards, when utilized together, can increase profits substantially. Also, we understood the importance of placing needs in the back and impulse items in the front. However, there was a lot of new stuff, such as the actual products, the price of the products, and the actual number of products available. Therefore, to be as organized as possible, we created a slideshow where we decided to post updates to pretty much anything: numbers, layouts, billboard changes, etc. So we could store information and use it again in the next round instead of having to restart after every simulation. So here's the slideshow that we created. Not very organized, as you can see, but it did get the job done. And it's also in chronological order, meaning that the slides in the back of the presentation are the most updated slides with the newest values. Okay. All in all, by the end of the simulation, we did end up getting the electronic store's weekly profit to over 80K per week, which is just incredible considering how helpless we were when we first logged in. Lessons phase. So after hearing all of this, you may be wondering what really led to our success besides our organization and our determination. Well, I did talk about 3 main things in the video I submitted, but I did want to expand on that while also explaining other factors that led to my success. So just to recap on the previous factors and explain how we actually applied them here in the electronics store, we first used billboards and the radio station. So this duo really led to a huge portion of our success. Since we are relatively far away from the higher income customers who are more likely to be spending a lot in our store, we use a combination of radio and billboards to actually target these customers and get our store profit up. So as you can see in the screenshot here, our store is all the way here in the top left corner, but most of our customers are actually in the center of the map or even to the right of the map. But through the use of billboards and radio, they actually came from the city all the way to our store and made purchases and helped us get our profit up. Second, store layout. So in this electronic simulation, there weren't a lot of products offered to us, so our store layout was relatively limited, but there's still a good amount of stuff to talk about here. So one thing is the amazing 72-inch LED TVs. So after some initial first day testing, we quickly learned that the 72-inch TV was the most expensive product, but also the most sought after. Therefore, as you can see in the store layout of ours, 8 of our 28 spots were solely 72-inch TVs. Though it might seem truly crazy that over 25% of our spots was just one product, it was worth it as it did account for a huge portion of our store profit. Also, our unique store layout was geometrically one of the best. So in our backroom, for example, we were able to make use of over 60% of the spots, which although might seem low, is pretty astonishing when you have to have a pathway for employees as well as some entrance space and some positioning space. Let me actually show you what I mean by that. So here is the simulation, and if I go to view backroom, this is a store layout of ours, and everything here is still pretty good. The employee can come through and they can access all the shelves. But if I, for example, decide to place this one over here, you can see that this it shows that the icon, this icon shows that the items are blocked and inaccessible, meaning that the employees cannot actually access these items. So if I run the simulation, for example, none of these items are actually being touched because the employees cannot even reach them. Okay. Okay, moving on, let's talk about some things I didn't really talk about in the video. So one huge thing was staffing. So unlike the grocery store, staffing, specifically salespeople, play a huge role in the success of an electronics store. Just as in real life, one prefers the assistance of a sales rep when buying expensive goods. However, in a grocery store, a person doesn't really need a sales rep to tell them how many tomatoes to buy. Therefore, in the simulation, salespeople weren't very important in the grocery store, but they were in the electronics store. So just to give a quick demonstration of this again, if I go to actions and if I go to staffing, you can see that I have a lot of salespeople right now. And if I run the simulation, you can see that my profit pretty much stays around the 115K range. However, if I refresh the page, and if I go back here to staffing, and if I change these numbers a little bit, let's say if I make all these 0, and if I run the simulation now, you can see that the weekly profit does fall substantially. So just after the first week, I think it should go to around 30K. Yep, 30K. And then the week after this, it does fall to even the negatives. Okay. So the final thing I want to talk about and explain to you all is the Christmas season. So for us, this was the most unexpected part of the simulation, but it was truly an amazing feature that Knowledge Matters actually added to this game. So let me just break it down really quickly. So during late November to the end of December, a period of around 4 to 5 weeks, the amount of customers that came to our store almost tripled. If that's right, tripled. So as you can imagine, profits just go berserk during these 5 weeks. And we quickly learned that this was going to be a huge part of success, and we knew we had to prioritize this. In fact, we even created a whole new setup, new staffing amount, new billboards, and new pricing just for these 4 to 5 weeks. After tons of testing and adjustments, we ended up getting the profit during these 5 weeks to over $230,000 per week. We were able to almost triple the amount of profit that we made during these few weeks, and we realized that through these 5 weeks alone, it accounted for over 30% of our store profit. So just to show you this incredible boost live, simulate till the mid of November, because that's really when the Christmas time does start to kick in. And the simulation is pretty slow right now, but let's just give it a moment. So right now you can see that the profit's still around 115K. Nothing too much has changed. But as we're approaching November, the profits will just start to go crazy. Okay. So almost there, just around 1 more week of simulation time, and then we can actually see Christmas start to kick in. So as you can see right now, profit is starting to increase already, 120K. And now it's around the mid of November. And as I open up the store traffic, you can start to see here that the amount of customers that come into our store will just start going crazy. So I don't know why the simulation is going pretty slow right now, but yeah. As you can see here in this store, you can just see the amount of customers that are coming to our store right now. And let's see if I reopen this right now, store traffic. Yep, you can see right here the first influx of customers that came here. As you can see, this huge spike is almost triple the amount of the customers beforehand. And you can see that the profit is just starting to go crazy. In the mid or start of December, profits do eventually reach 220K, but the simulation is pretty slow right now, so I don't think it's worth actually waiting. Okay. And with that, I've pretty much covered the main points that led to my success in the VBC simulation. So just to recap everything that I pretty much threw at you all, my team and I did sign up for the VBC round 2 simulation and entered basically with no preparation, but we're able to get our store profit to over 80K per week by making use of a ton of game features. So some of those game features include radio and billboard advertising, store layout, staffing, Christmas time, and so much more. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for taking the time today and listening to me talk about my VBC journey. Thank you.